Investor Intelligence provides general information only. You should consider seeking independent advice to see how this information relates to your unique circumstances. Please refer to the terms and conditions available at investorintelligence.com.au for more.
Hi there, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Investor Intelligence, brought to you by the team at the Property Mentors. It's your weekly podcast for all things investment and hosted by me, Phoebe Sikowski-Wallace. For today's episode, I have for you yet another investor's journey, as alongside mentoring our valued members, we also love to celebrate and share their wins, how far they've come, and to hear all about their goals. We find this is a great way for our listeners to hear stories that may be similar to their circumstances, as a lot of people share the same goals. And when you hear how well others have done, it can be that little bit of extra inspiration for people wanting to do the same. So our investor today is Peter Ward, who throughout his time here with us has been mentored by the incredible Robert. Now, Robert was very keen to put Peter forward to share his journey, and I can see why. I really enjoyed this chat with Peter. He was very honest about his journey, especially what he wishes he could have done differently in hindsight. But now he hopes to use that wisdom to hand down to his children and anyone else starting out on an investing journey themselves. But I'll let him tell you the rest. So I hope you enjoy. Here's Peter. So Peter, welcome. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today, even with the 3-hour time difference.
For sure. Thanks for having us.
Now, to start off, and because I always ask our investor guests to start with this, and before we sort of get into anything investment or property portfolios, I want to know a bit more about you. So maybe your background, your family, what you do or did for work. It could be what you do for fun. Where are you based? Tell me about you.
I'm originally a surveyor working out in the remote parts of WA in the desert and whatever, and I now find myself as a project manager, running projects and so forth. I've got a wife, been married for 27 years, and
wow.
I'm 52 years of age. I've got 3 kids who are now 18 through to 21, and so I'm sort of coming to the end of that tunnel, I hope, the light at the end of the tunnel. Schooling's over, but universities have started. I haven't told the kids yet that they've had their inheritance when I send them to school. So they'll have to put that bill.
They'll have to find out on the podcast.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's me in a nutshell, I suppose. Got a reasonably good job, above average income, I suppose, to the national average, and I'm sort of coming to that stage in life where I have to be preemptive and start looking at our retirement, in 15 plus years. Obviously, need to start as soon as you can. I would have started a lot earlier, had I had the, or should I say, if life didn't intervene. That's sort of me in a nutshell.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, and you're based in Perth, yes?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So do you want to tell me a little bit more just about the journey of your career or careers, if you've had multiple sort of over the time?
Oh, yeah. As a young fella, you do all the, run-of-the-mill positions, whatever you can get your hands on, just to get that cash flow so you can subsidise your weekends.
Sure.
I then moved in, whilst I was studying and I then got a surveying job up north in a place called Port Hedland, working for BHP Iron Ore. And that was certainly part of that remote work lifestyle, if you like, in Marble Bar and places like that. And I then went over to England and spent 3.5 years over there, had a very good position with a private developer, something that I'd never done before, but was actually a misinterpretation of my application because the position was for a surveyor. So I thought, oh, you beauty. And turns out it was for a quantities surveyor, so completely different. But they decided to keep me on anyway. And they seemed to enjoy my company and I enjoyed theirs. And the rest is history.
So prior to being a member, where would you say you were beforehand? Like, how would you describe your investing knowledge? Did you know anything? Did you know nothing? How would you sort of describe it honestly, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10?
I was always interested in investment, be it on the shares or unit trusts or anything like that. I've read all the text and whatever, and so I'm probably a full bottle on a theoretical level, but never had the opportunity or never made the opportunity to progress it to the next step. And that's actually, you're putting your money where your mouth is, so to speak. And I guess, something would come up in life, one of life's events or whatever, and that would postpone it again and again and again. And in the early stages, I think it was a case of reading all this text and whatever and getting immersed in it and wanting to make that decision or that take action. However, I guess the demon started talking away with the what ifs and this, and maybe should wait till the economic situation's better and whatever. So that sort of was, I guess, a form of procrastination, but also hesitancy. So, it didn't cut my own throat, so to speak. And so I guess it got to this point in time where I sort of reflected, turning 50, and I'm thinking, well, I've got 15 odd years left of work. Time's running out, whereas when I was younger, I had forever, but now everything was finite. And so I thought I've got to really show a bit of maturity and take this action, which has always been put off till later because I've run out of time, basically. And so I said, and I reflected, as I say, and I thought, I need to find a mentor. Someone who can hold my hand, if you like, and just sort of get me kicked off. So, and someone to allay my fears, which they'd been read, and I guess they'd just been manifested in my head over the years. So that was also a hindrance. So I just wanted to speak to someone who's actually been there and done it and knows what they're talking about. And then, that's what I put in the search, property mentor, and then lo and behold, this pops up, property mentors. And I thought that's a bit uncanny, but I'll go with it.
Yeah, that Google search must have been an easy one then.
Absolutely, it was great. Yeah, it was karma. At least that's what I was thinking.
That's right.
I then thought, I'm an intelligent guy. I will just have a chat with them and see where it goes. If I don't like it, I can just move away. And so, I got put in touch with a representative, but he's a really nice guy, and he was very warming, and he established that trust and that rapport, if you like.
Yeah.
And that was very important. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got out the door. And so Rob, someone I've developed a trust with, and then I was shown the process, and what's expected and what they've done and what they do. And I got to sort of get an understanding of how the business model worked, if you like. So obviously I've got reservations, going in there, being the skeptic I am. And but I just let it progress. And so I provided the initial startup costs or whatever, small amount of money just to test the water. I thought I'd allow myself that much flexibility, and I got put in touch with one of the financial advisors recommended by TPM. So that was another form of procrastination in the past. I knew I had to speak to a financial advisor, but then you go into that reading about it and who's the best financial advisor to get, and canvassing the industry to try and locate that person, and it's just got too bloody hard. Once again, it doesn't get done.
So would you say, in hindsight, you mentioned procrastination, would you say the type of ready that you kind of needed the most help with in searching for a mentor was maybe the emotional readiness?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think, and just having more confidence in taking the next step, if you like.
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about. It's one thing to be full bottle theoretically wise. It's the next big step is to actually to take action.
And you've been a member how long with us now?
I think I've been with you since early 21, January last year.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, I want to get into, some of those hesitancies.
Yep.
Investing can be a really big leap for a lot of people. So was there anything that you were worried about, and, what were those concerns that you sort of just mentioned going into this?
Just all the natural inherent fears that you have as far as, failing, I guess.
Of course, yeah.
Making silly financial decisions. Becoming a statistic.
Mm.
The fear of failure and overcommitting. And I guess it was a lot easier when I wasn't married and didn't have kids. But obviously, I've been married and had kids for longer than I haven't now. And it takes into account having that responsibility to them and not having stuffing up their future as well as mine. So all of that sort of eats away at you and makes the decision harder, or less, should I say, the decision to take action.
Yeah, it definitely helps having someone experienced and, a mentor in this case to really just kind of hold your hand through this. And
absolutely,
because we don't pretend that there's no risk when it comes to this stuff, but you can absolutely mitigate it, and you can go in very much educated so that you can almost foresee anything that's going to happen, and then you've got that roadmap to get you back on track.
Exactly right.
So yeah, and so what would you say has been your biggest challenge so far?
I don't know if I had any real challenges to this point in time, to be honest. I've just worked with Rob, my representative.
Yeah, he's great.
And we've stepped our way through it, and I've been requested to do various requirements, as far as financial arrangements. So I've just abided by it. That comes back then to that trust factor,
sure.
I suppose. So that's why it's so important to establish that. But the other important factor too, and part of the process, was being obviously directed to a financial advisor, as we were talking previously about, and then going through the process of setting up that 10-year plan or whatever, how that was vital to the process, to have a clear understanding of where you wanted to be, what you wanted to achieve, because I guess I could see it too then in hindsight that's where you'd also fail if you went on it when it tried to tackle it alone, because you needed that plan just to maintain your direction.
That's right.
And your objective, and that was the big part. And certainly TPM were very adamant that had to happen before they could even proceed further, with my investments and whatever.
Oh yeah. We're kind of always saying that we would never put, forward a property, for example, until we know what you're wanting out of it, what your strategy is, because it's kind of like putting forward a fitness program to someone who've never met, and you don't know any of their details.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
And I can see it from your perspective too. Yeah, you'd have to be able to establish that same understanding and almost that element of trust as well, just so you've got a collaborative, way forward.
And the other thing is, you're never going to be an expert across all fields that this takes. So of course you need that sort of guidance from the people that sort of do it day in, day out. They live and breathe this stuff, and then it sort of takes the pressure off you having to do it by yourself.
Absolutely. And they're in a position where they can dedicate their time to understanding all the legalities and the changes in legislation and whatever. So they're up to date, whereas
exactly right.
Sort of think that you know everything after reading a couple of books. It's quite naive and foolish.
So how's your portfolio going now? Like, where are you now with it?
Well, I've got a couple of investments now, which is, I think Luke was saying how he congratulated me on taking action and getting onto it and getting things moving quite rapidly.
Yeah.
So 2 properties in probably 18 months or whatever.
Fantastic.
And I guess it was important to know that I was doing it with my wife. So I thought it was important for her to be along for the journey. So, we had to sit down virtual meeting with Luke and Rob and whatever, and they answered her questions, because she said he didn't have the depth of knowledge that I had, having no interest in it previously, but she now feels along for the ride and the understanding of what we're trying to achieve, which I think is also important. Otherwise, you're going to have that huge, what you want to call, anchor, if you like, throughout the process, and it's not going to be a pleasant process if you're not united on that front.
That's right, yeah. And speaking of what you want to achieve, what would you say your biggest overall goal with your investing is?
Well, it was part of that, setting up that with the financial advisor, and that also comes back to that collaborative approach. So it meant sitting down with my wife and understanding, what we wanted to achieve over that 15-year period or whatever until our retirement, what sort of retirement that we were going to be satisfied with, and then determining what needed to be done in order to achieve that objective.
Yeah.
And by having my wife involved in the process, we were unified and had that understanding of what our objectives were. And I think really we hadn't done that previously. We just sort of floated along in life and pursued ideas as they arose, but never having a strategic plan, if you like. So that's what made the big difference.
Oh, amazing. And this is my favourite question, because we always get different answers to this, but what's been your favourite thing that you've learned about investing with TPM? Maybe it was something you were kind of surprised to learn, or it was something that you went into it wanting to know?
I think having that almost a security in a mentor, to be able to bounce off questions and ideas and whatever, and sharing that information. And so as far as learning new things and methodologies, I guess I've always had that theoretical understanding, but as I say, never been to that sort of, got to that stage where I actually actioned my plans and my knowledge base. But, positive gearing, something I've never really looked at previously. I was always along the negative gearing streams, and I guess that was the hot topic back in the 80s, 90s, if you like.
Yeah.
A lot of people were negative gearing as their investment strategy, and that's what I was well read on as well. So I didn't think that there was much a market for positive cash flow, thinking, how the hell do you find a property that fits that bill? That must be very rare. And that's been a big plus of being associated with the Property Mentors.
Positive and negative gearing is always a very interesting one. Everyone has different opinions on it. It's very, very complicated. But
it has to be fit for your purpose, though. And so that's where that plan comes in, and it fits that objective.
Yeah, exactly. So in hindsight, if you were to give someone else some advice, or someone who wants to start investing a bit younger, would maybe that be your advice, to start as young as possible?
Without a doubt. But not going in, armed to the teeth, if you like, and putting everything on the line. So just doing it earlier, starting earlier, but doing it smaller. I had colleagues of mine who sort of established 10, 20 properties in the space of a couple of years or whatever. So they're highly leveraged. And of course, the inevitable happened, and they got burnt badly, and it changed their life. And of course, that's an impact on you, because that's the story you're hearing, and you're saying, geez, I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So I will certainly be directing my sons and my daughter through Property Mentors, just so they can start that conversation and get that understanding, because I can see it being a huge benefit, massive benefit.
I think that's great advice. Well, Peter, it's been so nice to hear your story. It's very nice to meet you as well. What an incredible journey you've been on. But thank you so much for sharing that. And I wish you even more success in the future.
Absolutely. And you too.
Oh, thank you. Guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you would like to know any more about us here at The Property Mentors, you can check out our website, thepropertymentors.com.au. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. Both the podcast and the Property Mentors handles are linked in our show notes, along with all other socials, including a link to our blog. If you are ready to take your investing seriously and want to broaden your knowledge, the best way to do so is with Luke's latest book, Property Fit, and you can get yourself a copy of that at propertyfitbook.com.au. Please make sure to share, leave a rating, as it helps us reach more people on their investing journeys, and also subscribe to be notified when our episodes drop. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and I will be back in your ears again next week.